It's time for Windows Weekly. Paul Thurrott and Mary Jo Foley are here. It's Mary Jo's birthday, so we're going to celebrate. We'll also talk about Microsoft Connect, which went off today with some great new tools for developers. There's one for partner coding that just blows me away. We'll also talk a very little bit about the Xbox, a lot more about big data. Windows Weekly coming up next.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for Windows Weekly is provided by CacheFly at CacheFly.com. This is Windows Weekly with Paul Thurrott and Mary Jo Foley, episode 544, recorded Wednesday, November 15th, 2017. Wouldn't you like to be a Futzer too? Windows Weekly is brought to you by Blue Apron, the #1 fresh ingredient and recipe delivery service in the country. Check out this week's menu and get $30 off your first delivery with free shipping by going to blueapron.com/windows. And by Betterment, the largest independent online financial advisor. For a free 5-minute investment review helping you assess your investment accounts, tax strategies, fees, and risk exposure, visit betterment.com/windows. No sign-up required. And by Sonic, Twit's 10 gigabit fiber internet service provider. Join Sonic's internet revolution as they bring fast, affordable internet, phone, and TV to homes and businesses all over California. Visit sonic.com/twit to sign up for service and receive your first month free. It's time for Windows Weekly. Oh, everybody's happy today. Mary Jo Foley's here from allaboutmicrosoft.com, or ZDNet site allaboutmicrosoft.com. And Paul Thurrott is here from Thurrott.com. One of these two is more vain than the other, apparently. Anyway.
Wait a minute.
Well, no, it's good because it used to be the super site for Windows, which was a mouthful. Thurrott says it all. Says it all.
I just want to go on record as saying that I fought that being the name of the site. I still don't think it's a good name.
No, I know what you mean. I feel the same way every time I say Twit. But, you know.
But your last name isn't Twit.
Well, it is now, I'll tell you. Anyway, we have apparently an important day here. Mary Jo's birthday. So I think we're all going to get suitably dressed here, and then Paul and I are going to. Whoa.
I think Alex and everyone there should get involved too.
They are. You can't see them off camera though. They're all lined up,
Happy birthday!
Singing and
noisemakers. Nice.
Yeah. That's better than singing.
I feel very festive.
Yay! Congratulations. You made it through another rotation
year.
round about the sun. Or is it the sun that rotates around us? I can never remember.
Oh, boy. Depends on what state you live in, I guess.
If you live in Alaska, well, we know. Yeah. So that's nice, Mary Jo. Are you going to do anything special for your birthday?
Well, I got to go to Microsoft Connect today for my birthday.
Wow.
That was
How
fun.
exciting is that, huh?
Yep.
And and are you going to then go, after the show, decamp to Rattlin Hum?
Perhaps.
From now on,
done.
when I say Rattlin Hum, I'm going to do this. Rattle and hum.
Nice.
Okay, that's enough of that.
You can make your own GIF.
Violates the spirit of the place, but I see what you're saying.
Yes, the spirit of the place is grumpy.
That's right, dark and grumpy.
Dark. It kind of is, I think. I get that feeling like
It is.
we're serious here. Don't come in here with your frivolous cheers, your cheers attitude. We don't know your name, and we don't want to know your name.
Nobody knows your name, and if we knew it, we wouldn't care.
We don't want to know your name. Get out.
Yeah.
So, well, because it's your birthday, Mary Jo, and because last week we tortured you.
You did.
We're going to make this the Mary Jo Foley Show. All about Hadoop.
Nice.
All
In
In
fact,
a, good.
In fact, I entitled our show in our private show notes, "Revenge is a dish best served in the cloud." And I said, hey, lots of developer and cloud news this week. Can I get a Hadoop?
Hadoop? Did you do this when you said Hadoop?
I said to Mary Jo on Skype today, I will adopt the 1,000-yard stare that she had on last week.
I know. You guys had a couple stills of me where I looked like I was asleep, and then somebody put PS4 Enthusiast as my lower third at one point.
Oh, who did that? What a rude
Alex,
thing to do.
perhaps?
No, I did it, actually. I confess.
You did it. That's
funny. Okay. I just thought it'd be kind of fun to...
That was interesting. I didn't even notice when you did it during the show.
No, you didn't.
No, I didn't either.
No.
Good.
You guys don't look at your lower thirds,
We
so
don't.
you don't know what I'm saying.
I don't keep mirrors in my house either.
Yeah. Well, you probably should pay attention.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, hey, by the way, I see somebody who's...
Wait. Actually, since we are paying attention.
Oh, now you're
Lower
seeing...
Mackenzie is not a valley.
What is it?
Lehigh Valley.
It's Lehigh. I confused. I mixed my metaphors. All right. Well, I can fix that. It's Lower
I like
Mackenzie.
Midtown Manhattan.
What is it? Mackenzie what? What is Mackenzie? A county? A burg?
It's a
borough?
township.
It's a state of mind.
It is also a state of mind.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say Lower Mackenzie Township.
It's not even clear to me if that's a proper place name, but yeah, sure.
Maybe your lower third should say which room in your house you're doing the show from, because
right,
there are a few
somewhere in
choices.
Pennsylvania.
And I like it how when they do township, and I'm going to do it too because there's no room, they take the vowels out.
That's right. That's exactly how it's written, except it's not McCunnig.
It's hard to spell these Pennsylvania words.
Yeah.
It's also not Lover McCunnig, which would be my Scottish name, I guess. Lover McCunnig of the Clan McCunnig.
There we go. Lower Mackenzie Township. Barely could fit that in. Barely.
Boy.
And I don't know if you're in Midtown or not. I just put that there.
I am.
Okay.
I am. So very well done.
Where everything's happening.
It's everything.
Yep. Everything's happening in Lower Mackenzie Valley. 2 weeks I'll be in Midtown Manhattan, not Lower Mackenzie Valley, because the theater district in Lower Mackenzie Township is not
right. You don't want to see the community play version of Misery this weekend?
No. Are they doing that? I'd rather cut my foot off.
Yeah, so would I.
Yeah. That's a little Misery joke there for everybody. I think they did make a musical of Misery, as a matter of fact.
Oh, man.
There's definitely a play version of it.
I think it's
it
a
suits
musical.
itself to a play. It's a kind of
You
a
cannot
one...
leave. I will leave.
Yes.
You may not leave.
Yep.
It's operatic in its tenor. No, I'm going to be out your way in a couple of weeks for my birthday. So we're both. So you're
nice.
a Scorpio.
I am.
Wow.
I am also a Scorpio.
Whoa. When was your birthday, Paulie?
October 29th.
Yeah.
Oh, we missed it.
Isn't that Bill Gates' birthday?
No, he's the 28th.
Wow.
Yeah, I knew he was right around there too.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sorry, we didn't do anything for your birthday, Paul. We'll make this a.
Seeing how this went, I'm actually pretty much okay with it.
You're okay with that? Yeah.
You've had enough.
Yep.
All right, let's get to the Hadoop.
Wait, does Paul want to do a housekeeping announcement before we do Hadoop?
Oh, yeah, just we hired a new senior news editor at Thurrott.com, Mehdi Hassan. I had to verify. He's only been around. We've been talking to him for a while, and just today I was like, "Hey, how do you actually pronounce your name?" By the way?
It's good to ask.
Just like it's spelled, Paul.
Yep.
Mehdi Hassan. And where did he come to you from?
He was previously at MS Power User.
Ah, nice.
Which is where he came to our attention. I think Mary Jo would agree. He's one of those guys out there doing an awesome job. And we find ourselves linking to him a lot. In fact, Brad and I had a conversation months ago where I was like, why are we not breaking this news? And anyway, he's a great guy and he's a great writer, which is a big deal because it's hard to find people that, are that talented and on the same page with you. So that was good. I'd like to have him on the podcast. I don't think he is amenable to that right now.
Why not? Is he shy?
He's a shy
Okay,
guy.
can I ask another question? And I don't mean this sarcastically. Is he old enough to be on?
Yes.
You must be 21 to join this podcast.
Yeah.
No, because we had somebody on one time. I can't remember who this was, or on some podcast I was on, where we had to ask his dad if he could come on the show. I'm
he's
not
not a
kidding.
Do we have to
No,
ask
unlike Brad,
Mahedy's
he
dad?
has facial hair. He's a real adult.
Did somebody
He
say
is.
the name Brad? I'm sorry. Okay.
He's very young, though. He is young. Which makes his accomplishments even
compared
better.
to the three of us, everyone is very young.
Well, that's true.
Well, we're getting older. There's no question about that.
Especially today, I feel old.
I beat you guys easily. I will be 61 in 2 weeks.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, see? When I was,
I wouldn't have guessed.
I'm so sorry.
When I was a young man of 50, I thought 61 sounded
you don't
so
look
old.
You don't look a day over 59. It was,
Well, everybody tells me, and I think this is just they're lying, that 60 is the new 40. But
Just go with it.
listen, when I was a younger guy, 40 seemed like
I know.
old age home.
I
to me.
know.
And then as you get up in the years, you sort of look at it differently. Although I will say, my legs sound like popcorn when I walk down the steps in the morning. So,
what doesn't change though is what's up your mind. At least not for a while. Anyway, at some point it might. But for now, I still have the mind of a 27-year-old, and so
I know it's the worst.
very frustrating.
It's the worst. And then I get up off the couch and trip.
Well, you know you're old when you start making sounds when you stand up.
Yeah,
Yep.
Out of the chair.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yep.
There you go. Anyway, happy birthday, Mary Jo. I hope you have
Thank you.
many happy
Thanks.
returns of the day, as they say.
Thanks.
Indeed.
Which is a very strange, old-fashioned thing to
I
say.
know, that is. Yes.
But I like it. I like it.
Have yourself a merry little birthday.
A Mary Jo birthday.
Yep, doesn't quite work.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
it doesn't.
So welcome, Mahedi, and let's get him on. Yeah, it'd be fun. You could talk him
I'd
into
love
it.
to come on. And
I
I
talked
think
you
we
into it.
someday. We'll build up to that.
Yeah, he should
He doesn't
come
even
on.
like to be in Skype video calls.
Really?
I know.
Really?
He's shy. You know
Really?
what? We'll win him over.
Interesting.
Well, Leo, I think most people who do what we do are actually like this. I mean, I'm not comfortable talking to people or being in front of people. I mean, I know we do this, but this is kind of it feels like a private conversation. We're not recording this, right?
No.
I mean, this is just
No, and that's, truthfully, I'm really glad to hear you say that, because that was always the idea. And I think really that was from the very first podcasts, not just mine, but in general.
yeah.
That's really I think the merit of podcasting was you were just kind of listening in on a conversation.
Yeah.
It was like you were participating, silently, unfortunately, but
So,
participating in a
actually,
conversation,
It's really funny that you say that, because the very first time that we talked, the two of us, when you called my house back, whenever that was, 10 years ago, you asked me, what do you see this being? And
Yeah.
that's how I described it as a
Good.
conversation.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it hasn't gotten any better, so
No,
might as well
I didn't
embrace
say
that.
a good conversation.
we might as
I
well
just
just
said the words will be exchanged.
embrace it.
Yeah.
But no, I think the best podcasts really, that's fundamentally what they are. And I regret that NPR has gotten so involved in the mix and the NPR style has become so dominant to the point where anybody thinking of doing a podcast thinks, well, we have to start with a serious person talking for 20 seconds.
Oh, yeah.
Joe was
Actually,
a young man and he never
that
expected.
reminds me,
And then the music starts. And I hate that.
Mary Jo and I were talking about having a baking segment on the show.
Oh, good. As long as we don't have to eat it.
Yeah.
Well, that's good
It's
because
the
she's
Windows
remote.
flag-shaped food of the week.
Yes.
Karabai. What's that stuff called? Karabai? Whatever it is.
What is he talking about?
I don't know. It's a nice thing I saw
Carob?
over the weekend.
You mean the
Carob?
fake chocolate?
chocolate?
No, carob. I'll come.
I don't know what you
Karabai.
mean.
Heck is it?
Carbide?
I'm having a stroke.
a carbohydrate? No, surely you're not saying that word.
Is it a food?
Yeah, it's
That
a
you're
veg.
trying to
It looks
see?
like
Is
a broccoli. type
Kohlrabi.
thing.
Kohlrabi. Mary Jo knows
P
kohlrabi.
interest.
I picked up a piece of it at the Emmaus Farmers Market, which, by the way, Leo, if you are in the area,
I will be
almost
there.
as good as the theater. And I said, this looks like the Windows flag. Because to me, everything looks like the Windows flag.
It
Shaped
must.
Kohlrabi. Is it the...
You know, like you see a cloud that looks like a dog or something?
Yeah, everything looks like it. Yeah, well, every green hillside looks like the Windows Vista desktop to me.
Yeah.
No truth, by the way, to this rumor that the Windows Hillside burned in the Sonoma
I know.
fires.
Some people were saying that.
Yeah, it did not.
No, I think it's fair to say it faded away slowly, then burned down.
It burned in our minds, but not the actual hillside. It's fine.
Yeah.
Anyway, I feel like the best podcasts are this. I was just reading about a podcast. Maybe you listen to it because I know you're a basketball fan, Paul, called Dunked On, D-U-N-C.
That's great.
It's great. You know it.
No, yeah, I don't listen to it, but I do know. Yeah.
And I think it was the New York Times was just amazed, mystified that anybody would listen to a show with just a couple of guys talking about basketball for 2 hours. And and I just laughed because I thought, you obviously are new to podcasting because that's all podcasts.
Hopefully that was their technology reporter because he seems particularly dialed into what's going on in the world.
Man. Okay.
I mean, this is nothing. I don't want to get too far down. I'm sorry, but you reminded me of something which I think is the future of broadcasting, which is that kind of thing, but applied over mainstream sports. Like, I would rather listen to two local guys,
right,
than the buffoons on the NFL Network or whatever.
Absolutely, and furthermore, these things are successful. And the article was saying while mainstream sports broadcasting is declining dramatically, precipitously, these new shows. Because it's terrible. These new shows are rising, and it's because if you're a fanatic about anything, whether it's NBA, whether it's the Knicks or Windows, what you really want is to drive in the car listening to two knowledgeable people talking obsessively about it. I remember when we first started doing this show, Virginia Heffernan in the New York Times wrote about us, and she mocked Twit, saying, bizarrely obsessive about technology. She didn't. They to this now. Here we are, 15 years later. They still don't understand. That's what people who are
bizarrely
into
obsessive. You guys are on the normal end of the spectrum when it comes to that stuff.
Well, Dunked On, apparently
people tweet to us all the time. We get people all the time going, guys, why is your show only 2 hours? Could it be 3? I mean, and they mean it. It's not sarcasm. And I'm like,
I was so nervous.
2 hours a lot?
For a long time, our shows were 70 minutes, no more, because somebody told me, well, I burn it onto a CD, and it can't be longer than that.
That's amazing.
And so we really tried to keep it CD burnable length. Obviously, that's a foolish thing nowadays. But as they got longer and longer, and they do, no one has. Very few people say, "Can you make your show shorter?" I mean, all they do is just stop listening when they're done,
right. Or take breaks and do part one day, part another day.
My semi-facetious rule of thumb is the show should be as long as your commute, because what you want to do is get in the car, listen, and not pick another show. Just listen on the way.
But that's the problem because some of these guys are long-distance truckers, and we've certainly heard from those guys, and I don't know that we can accommodate that particular schedule.
So Patrick Delahanty has just done some math, and he says the average length of our show is 1 hour, 36 minutes, and 53 seconds.
How did that happen?
Well, because we did shorter ones in the beginning, I think, because I think they're pretty much always a couple of hours now.
I would say they're at least 2 hours long these days.
They feel that way, I know.
I mean, they feel like a frickin' eternity. Am I right?
Our shows go until the hosts say, "I gotta pee." That's really that's the rule of thumb. Or in the case of Twig, until Stacey Higginbotham says, "I'm gonna faint from hunger. Please, can the show be over?" 30. There are total, Paul, between you and me, and then you, me, and Mary Jo, 36 days, 11 hours, 8 minutes, and 4 seconds of episodes we've recorded.
Wow!
So if somebody really does want to listen,
sure.
There's 3 days worth.
That's crazy.
If you don't sleep. So you were Microsoft Connect. You were at today, Mary Jo Foley.
I was.
What is that?
So I'm just going to throw Call of Duty on while you're doing this. Have fun. I take it this
Come on, you're a dev. You can weigh in here.
Oh, it's a developer show. Well, that's
it is.
To be fair, this is all Mary Jo, but I did talk about coming to the. I would go to the show, but it was on a Wednesday, and we talked about maybe doing the show from there, and we couldn't figure it out, so I stayed home and played Call of Duty. Anyway, sorry.
Oh, poor Paul.
So Connect. This is Microsoft's 4th Connect, and it's the second of their big dev events for the year. The first one's Build, which is usually in the spring, and Connect is in the fall. It's been in New York all 4 times that they've done it. And they were on site here, there were probably like a few hundred developers, Microsoft customers, MVPs, and all the big who's who from Microsoft was there on the dev side. So Scott Guthrie was there, Scott Hanselman was there, Miguel Diaz-Caso was there, and Nate Friedman. And a lot of the people we know too, Richard Campbell and Carl Franklin were there.
But they did
was
their
pretty
show
much
from
like
there, huh?
Yeah, they're doing their show from there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's a really big dev event, and this year they had 3 themes. One was openness and showing how Microsoft's a really big player in open source. One was on improving developer productivity, and then they also talked a lot about AI tools and data tools that they're building. So yeah, there were so many announcements, but I just picked out a few for the show that I thought were kind of cool that I think you guys would both be interested in. Even Paul, while he's playing Call of Duty. So the one that got the most applause is something that doesn't even exist yet, but they showed a sneak peek of it, and it's called Visual Studio Live Share. And so what this is a new service that they're going to have in preview early 2018 that lets people who are located remotely from each other actually collaborate on their coding. So they can debug together using their separate IDEs. So somebody can be using Visual Studio Code. Someone could be using Visual Studio. They're working together on a C++ or a C# program, and they're actually working on the same thing, even though they're using their own consoles. It was really, really interesting. Like the way they showed it was they had a guy who said, I'm having a coding problem. I need help. Let me get this person. So he contacted her through Slack and said, hey, can you talk to me through Visual Studio Live Share? And they did a whole demo with her helping him fix his code.
And that, by the way, that's the new style of coding. They call it partner coding. So the ability to do that, a lot of people really, really want that, I think. Yeah,
people were at first they were like, they're just doing some screen sharing thing. And then they were watching and they're like, no, they're actually syncing their code.
Yeah.
And it's something
cool.
Better, right?
Yeah.
So, Microsoft has all these collaboration tools already in Office, things like Teams and Skype. So, but this isn't derived from that. They kind of looked at those and said, you know what, that's good for non-developer productivity, but we're going to actually build something that's just for developers. So that was the one that, even though it was just a sneak peek, not available yet, you can sign up to try to be in the early preview and be considered for it. But that was the one everybody, when they figured out what was going on, was like, wait, whoa, right? I think Paul saw a demo of this or heard about it anyway when we got a little pre-brief on this. And that was, of all the many, many announcements, I thought that's the one that's going to be something that developers are going to be like, I want that, right?
Yeah.
And we don't know how much it's going to cost or how they're going to package it up. Probably it's going to be a subscription service, I would think. But they're not talking about any of that yet because it's too early. It's not even in preview yet.
And this is is Live Share. Does this use Skype? Does this use?
We don't know exactly what the backbone of it is. They said it's not Skype. It's not Teams. They just said it's something that we learned lessons from some of those other things that we have and applied those lessons. But we built this service as a standalone service. I assume on Azure. It'll run on Azure. There it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're running Visual Studio, and you just let me go back. I guess I go back a little bit to show him do the invite, which is kind of cool. So he says, I'm having a debugging issue, and in some JavaScript code he's writing, and she's going to say, oh, let me help.
Yep.
They're in Slack right now. I see live sharing. I don't know if that's the Slack account. Must be their Slack room that they're in. But now let's see what happens. There's some moment they're sitting there for a bit. I'm sure something wonderful will happen soon. So now he's in his.
Yeah, one's using VS Code, one's using Visual Studio.
Oh, that's interesting. That's one way you can tell the difference. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And
they're collaborating.
So so changes she makes will appear on his screen and vice versa.
Yep.
That's very amazing. Yeah, there we go.
I know.
There's the dual screen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
So they said at first, the first languages they're going to optimize for are C# and JavaScript and TypeScript, which is interesting. And then they're going to be able to let developers use other languages as they go forward and different platforms too. So
he's right also now on a Mac and she's on a PC, which I kind of like.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, so I think that got people pretty excited at the conference.
I think this is amazing because he's also running the debugger. And so this is really interesting. So she can see the output of the debugger. She can see what the code's doing. Wow, that's really interesting.
I know, right?
Yeah.
I want to know how they did it. And they aren't really sharing how it works underneath. But I would love to know that.
Because it's not screen sharing in the remote desktop sense. It's not like she's looking at his screen. They're both in their own application. She's in, and so as a result, she's that is really interesting.
I know, right?
Really interesting. That sounds like a great way to do partner coding.
I think so too. And I think that's, like you said, that's the way of the future for coding. And more people need to collaborate.
A lot of people want to do this, yeah.
People aren't located in the same place as most of their team members anymore.
But I could see them using this if they're sitting across from each other at a partner desk. It doesn't need to be
no, it doesn't need to be like
distant.
India and here.
Yeah,
it's
just so much easier than sitting next to somebody and looking over their shoulder.
Yeah, true.
This is really interesting. Yeah.
Yep.
Wow, look at that. And it does feel much snappier than a simple screen share. It's really like they're working together. That's kind of cool. And how much?
Yeah. We don't know. They're not saying yet how much.
Yeah.
Just early preview in early 2018, and they're not saying anything beyond that.
Oh, too bad. I want it now. Not that I know anybody, but if I had any friends, I would love to do this. That's really cool.
Yeah.
I could see a lot of people using that. I mean, it's not unusual that even if you're learning a language, that you get stuck. And often what people do is they'll go into a chat room, an IRC room, and talk back and forth, or they'll post it somewhere on Reddit, or they'll go to Stack Exchange or somewhere. But this is really an interesting way to work together. I really like it. Yeah. And great way to learn. Wow. I know.
Fantastic. Yeah, that's the other thing. Like somebody who's new and they want help. You could use it in education, right? In coding classes or whatever.
Well, exactly.
That's helps too, right?
Yeah. So you can, and you don't have to buy the big, the expensive Visual Studio.
Visual Studio. No, you could use VS Code. Wow. Yep.
All right. I'm liking it.
So that was a pretty good one. Another big announcement there was Microsoft's integrating AI services right into Visual Studio. So at Ignite, which we were at in September, they said, we're integrating AI services into VS Code, and that was a big deal. But this is like a step beyond that, right? So developers who have their little comfort zone as their VS console, right? Now you're going to be able to start using different tools and different frameworks, not just from Microsoft, not just the Microsoft Cognitive Toolkit, but also Google's TensorFlow, Theano, Keras. I don't know what all of these things are, but I know they're for data scientists who want to develop applications. So they're adding an extension to Visual Studio so that developers can use these tools right from inside Visual Studio. So, a lot of people say, oh, AI, it's so complicated. I don't really know how to start. I've heard of R. I don't really know what it is. But now it's like, here's Visual Studio that you know and love, right? Wow. And here are the tools. You can get to them right from inside.
I like this educational focus a lot.
Exactly. Yep. So this is a thing that we wrote about. Well, I should say I wrote about it last year. It was codenamed Open Mind Studio. And they said, we're going to build the Visual Studio for machine learning. And that's what this is. So it's Microsoft building a suite that's just like Visual Studio, because it is in Visual Studio, but with all the hooks into all the different deep learning frameworks and the open source frameworks and the computation frameworks, all the things that you'd need if you were working on some kind of a machine learning / AI application. That also, I think, got a lot of love at the Connect event too.
Cool.
AI stuff. Microsoft, they're all about AI these days. It's like almost every announcement they make.
Everybody
I know,
is.
right?
That's
what Microsoft is also all about?
What?
Xbox.
Shut up.
Okay, go back to sleep. Go back to Call of Duty. Back to Call of Duty.
You each get one show, Paul. Just
fine. Well, hers is longer.
No, yours was endless, my friend.
It's almost certainly true.
Just between you and me, Paul, I'm loving the Scorpio. I really do. It's really great.
You do?
Why is he whispering?
Okay, wait till you guys hear this announcement.
Oh, there's more?
There's more.
Yes.
MariaDB, which is a fork of the MySQL relational
And a
database.
much better version, by the way. Everybody uses
Microsoft. Yep. There's a huge community that is using this out there. And Microsoft joined the MariaDB Foundation today, and people were super surprised. It was like when they joined the Linux Foundation last year.
Yeah, because this is
Now
an
they're
open source free database.
Yep. And when they announced it, one guy said, I've stopped saying pigs fly because Microsoft is doing stuff I never would have thought they were going to do.
Because I keep getting... No, I shouldn't say that. But that's... just look up and you'll see. That's really interesting because it competes directly... Well, not directly, but it competes with SQL Server.
SQL Server,
Yeah.
yep. And so now they're turning MariaDB into a service on Azure.
Oh, that's smart. That's smart.
And the
They
other
have
two
to
things
do
are...
that.
They have to. So they joined the MariaDB Foundation, making MariaDB a service on Azure. And they also announced two other new Azure services. Databricks is becoming an Azure service. So that's Apache Spark. And then Cassandra also becoming an Azure service. And Cassandra is another open source thing. It's a NoSQL database management system.
Yeah.
So all these things that are not from Microsoft, but they're open source tools, are all becoming managed services on Azure. Yep. Pretty interesting and unusual. Yep.
Very cool.
And the last one I would pull out there were still a lot more, but this one, there was a product Microsoft was working on called Visual Studio Mobile Center. They talked about that a year ago at Connect, I think. And now they've renamed it Visual Studio App Center. And what this is a one-stop shop if you're a mobile developer. It's an Azure hosted thing, and you can use this service for building, deploying, testing, all these things on all different mobile platforms, iOS, Android, Windows, macOS, everything. It's all in one place as a service. And this one also, people were like, oh, I knew you guys were working on this, but I didn't realize it's actually like ready and I can use it now to develop applications and test my applications. So that I think also got a lot of love, and people are excited that even though Microsoft doesn't have its own mobile platform, it's making an environment where mobile developers from everywhere can use Azure as the place where they do all this deployment, testing, et cetera.
So
Microsoft's motto, here's the motto that you have to remember about the new Microsoft: any developer, any app, any platform.
Yeah.
That's their new motto.
They always said that the people who really made money in the gold rush out here in California weren't the gold miners. They were the guys who sold the picks and the shovels and the jeans. And so in a way, this is Microsoft saying, we're going to sell the picks and the shovels and the jeans.
Exactly.
Let you guys go make your iOS apps. We'll be here when you need us. I think that's smart. It's certainly a good way to be if you don't have a mobile platform.
It is, right?
You got no choice.
Zing.
No. You got to find a way to still be in the market, right?
Yeah, but I think that's not necessarily a bad place to be.
Yeah.
Do the back end stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Microsoft's a tool company, right?
Yes.
I mean, that's where they got their start. It's like if they don't have, right now, they do not have a mobile platform, but they can still make tools for mobile developers. And they've got Xamarin, as part of the family now. So there's a lot they can do.
They finally bought Xamarin.
Yeah, they finally bought them. I know. Remember, there were rumors
on
forever.
and on.
I know.
Oh, yeah, I forgot they bought them. Okay.
Yeah, Miguel works for Microsoft.
Yeah.
So
that's so weird. It still can't. That's as bad as supporting MariaDB and Linux on Azure.
Yeah, what next?
What's going on?
No,
but
left?
Richard Stallman will be the new
right.
Oh, man.
C-level executive.
I think I want you to call it GNU Windows. Is that okay?
Yeah.
From now on, it should be
chief open source officer.
GNU Windows.
Let's hope that never happens.
We're going to take a little break. And so we're talking about tools. I know, Mary Jo, you love to cook. And you probably have a great knife, right? A great chef's knife.
Pretty good knife.
Yeah. When you cook, the tools are everything, and of course the ingredients. Those are the materials you use with your tools to make something amazing. Blue Apron wants to help you. By the way, they sell the tools as well as deliver the best ingredients from local farms, 150 local farms, fisheries, and ranchers across the United States. The seafood in these beautiful Blue Apron kits is sourced sustainably. The beef, the chicken, the pork come from responsibly raised animals. The produce is sourced from farms that practice the best farming practices like regenerative farming. And what happens is in your box, we just got our Blue Apron box. Actually, I should bring it in. We get it on Wednesdays. There are 3 meals. We get the meals for 2, but you can also get meals for family, the family plan for 4. All the ingredients you need, and it's cute. There's little bottles. There's, you don't get, if you need a stalk of celery, you don't get a whole bunch. You just get what you need. If you need 2 teaspoons of soy sauce, you get a little bottle of soy sauce. So there's never any waste. It's exactly what you need. I have never seen better, fresher produce, meats, and fish, and I am very picky when I shop. I can't get stuff that looks this perfect. And of course, if at any time it isn't, you call them, they'll get you the right stuff right away. They're really great too. If they, for instance, if they say in the recipe card it's going to be yellow tomatoes and all they can find is really nice red tomatoes, they'll send you an email saying, just so you know, we couldn't find the yellow tomatoes this week, so we've shipped them with the red tomatoes. And I love that. They really feel like they're taking care of you. For less than $10 a person per meal, you're going to get seasonal recipes. By the way, always something new on the menu. They don't repeat more than once a year. So, like, look at this. Oh, look at this. Shrimp and bucatini pasta with charred and yellow tomato sauce. Oh, man, that looks good. And maybe you'd never had bucatini before. It's a thicker kind of pasta than spaghetti, and it's delicious. And look what you get. You get a tablespoon of capers. You get a 1/4 tablespoon of red crushed flakes. It comes in a little packet. So nothing is wasted, but you always have exactly what you need. And then, of course, the recipe card, which tells you exactly how to make this amazing meal. Look what's on the menu this week. Sauteed beef and kale rice, seared chicken. We did a persimmon rice the other day. That's a seasonal example of a seasonal thing. It was delicious. Here's something for you, Mary Jo. Roasted fall vegetables and farro salad with soft-boiled eggs. Oh, man. Mouth-wateringly good. And this would be, if I cooked it, it would be kind of bland, I'll be honest, because I don't know. But they are always good with the seasoning in such a way. Look, you get a purple top turnip. I didn't even know. Little apple cider vinegar, some shiitake mushrooms, butter, apple, that it just makes it suddenly come to life. Everything they make, mouth-wateringly good, and the house fills with these amazing aromas. And if you've got children, getting them to help you with the cooking with your Blue Apron box is a great way to introduce them to the skills they need to live and get them excited. And frankly, appreciate a little bit more what you do every day when you make them dinner. Cooking builds strong family bonds. And research, by the way, shows that Blue Apron families cook nearly 3 times more often together. Stop going out. At the end of the day, you get tired and you want to, I just don't have time. I'm going to go get a burger at Mickey D's. Don't do that to yourself. Go home, get your pimento cheeseburger with sweet potato oven fries. You make it in less than half an hour, and it's delicious. And by the way, a great treat for date night. Go to blueapron.com/windows. Get $30 off your first delivery with free shipping. Guys, she'll be so impressed if you put out the candles and you make this amazing meal. Let's see. Let's look at the meal that'd be best for date night. Ooh, butternut squash pizza, kale and ricotta tarts. How about seared chicken with miso, kale, and roasted vegetables? She'll go, wow, you're quite the sophisticate and a good cook. Very important. blueapron.com/windows. Get $30 off your first delivery and free shipping at blueapron.com/windows. I'm telling you, you're going to love it. And it's going to get you all excited about cooking again. You'll be doing it more often. Back to, and we thank Blue Apron, by the way, not only for their support, but for feeding me 3 times a week. I love the Blue Apron meals when they come. I'm not sure what we're cooking tonight, but I can't wait to open that box and find out. Back to Windows Weekly. Paul Thurrott, Mary Jo Foley. Did we cover everything that you found out today, Mary Jo? At the
there are a ton of other announcements that I'm not going to try to cover because there's just too many. But go check out Scott Guthrie's blog if you're a developer, because he's got a whole lot more beyond what we've talked about here. There's just a lot of stuff. Containers, Kubernetes, DevOps. There's something for everyone, pretty much.
Except Paul.
Not everybody, Mary Jo.
Nothing for Paul. Nothing for Paul. There's the welcome to Mac. I guess I'm at the wrong blog because this is Scott's blog, but it's kind of old. Let me find another.
Oh, yeah. That might be the old site. I think official Microsoft blog, if you could find that site.
Yes. Here we go.
Yep. There's a nice synopsis of all the many things they talked
Connect.
about.
Developing for the intelligent cloud and intelligent edge. Yep. What? Okay, come on. Really?
The Edge stuff is they did a thing called Azure IoT Edge, which is a service for people who are looking to improve performance, especially if you have iffy connectivity. You can now do a lot of the computing at the edge instead of
the UWP thing again.
It's more like doing processing out at the edge of the cloud where the devices are, at the actual IoT device level, and then sending the data back and processing it in the cloud.
So edge and cloud sounds kind of like client and server, but
kind of like that,
but a little smarter edge than it used to be.
Yeah, now it's intelligent.
Yeah,
the intelligent edge, not just any edge.
I kind of like that because connectivity isn't always perfect. That's one of the things I liked about UWP. You've got those service workers that can keep things going even if you can't connect. That's what makes it a standalone app. By the way, I just want to thank you guys for that UWP conversation of a couple of weeks ago. I got so excited about that.
Oh, I know. And you know what? I was thinking here at Connect we might hear about progressive web apps. There wasn't a word, but I think the reason is because it's not ready yet. Like it's not yet enabled in Redstone 4. And I think next year at Build and at Connect, you're going to hear a lot about this. PWAs is the next year thing.
Actually, those guys from Microsoft told me that explicitly, that would be the case.
I even went so far on the radio show. Somebody was asking me, I want to get into programming. Where should I go? And I said, if I were you, I would be looking at UWP right now. I would be looking at progressive apps.
Or looking at progressive web apps.
Yeah. Not UWP, progressive web apps.
PWA.
PWA. I get the acronyms right, but I told him the right thing. PWA.
Yeah, learn JavaScript and.
Well, and by the way, it's not just Microsoft. That's the point. I mean, Google has a very good page on PWA where they walk you through making your first. They have a little weather app, and they walk you through making it so easy that you really get a sense of wow, and how the service workers work and all that. It's really cool. I'm very excited about. UWP is the old, PWA is the new.
Yep. That
Microsoft will never say that, but
UWP is the store apps, and PWA is they'll still be in the store. But
if you can bring PWAs to the store, I mean that's what you care more about, right?
Users won't know or care. I think that's the idea.
Average users won't, like me.
If it's done right, it should be just like a regular app.
Yeah,
it's Microsoft. It'll be done right.
Well, but that's in a way that's why I'm more excited about it. It isn't just Microsoft; it's everybody.
Yeah. No, right. And actually, to be fair, Microsoft looks like they're handling this exactly the right way.
Well, this is again in that Linux MariaDB vein. They're saying we don't have to own it; we just have to provide the tools and the background and help people and encourage them. It's kind of neat.
Yep.
Yeah.
In fact. That moves us to the next section, and I'm thinking this is a Paul Thurrott.
How could you tell?
I don't know. Just looking at the notes, there's a certain style of wording that Paul has. Well, let's start.
No, look. When you follow Microsoft for a living, Mary Jo notices this, and you read a mainstream news account, perhaps, or another tech blog's take on something, you notice something a lot. Like too much, that Microsoft is just left out of the conversation.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's semi-defensible. I use the example a year or two ago, you might have read like here are a roundup of the best music subscription services, or here are a roundup of all of the music subscription
and nobody
services.
Says Groove.
Nobody ever mentions Microsoft. Yeah. That doesn't even mention that it exists.
Yeah.
And that kind of thing, okay. I mean, I guess I can sort of understand it, but
I would say a lot of it's not their fault. They've been around so long. They're not the hot newness. But there's
okay,
but they need to. But no, they need to get the word out that they're still doing great technology.
Well, that's my point. So something like Groove, whatever, it's going away anyway. That's not really the point of this. I read a story about quantum computing that was from the I think it was like MIT Technology Journal, whatever. Yeah, it's IBM and it's Google. It's some researchers from Yale.
Yeah.
And these guys are doing great work, and they're really being innovative, and this is crazy. They're going to make great forward pushes in the years ahead. And the word Microsoft is not in this article, not even once.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, it's a semi-academic, okay. Then I read a story about the same topic, except it was in the New York Times.
At least they quoted Microsoft, though, right?
They actually quoted a guy from Microsoft about halfway down the article, well below the fold. It was very much focused at Google and IBM were both in the headline. Microsoft was not mentioned in the beginning of the article. So people skimming this would never know Microsoft was involved, which I think was the point, if I understand this publication. And when they do mention Microsoft, really far down in the article, it's in a semi-demeaning way. It's dismissive of what they're doing. Like, Microsoft says they have this excellent thing called whatever, but there's no evidence that that's going to, bear any fruit or whatever. And it was like, that's the mention they get, aside from the quote they got from a guy from Microsoft. And I'm just throwing out some free advice to the PR folks at Microsoft. You need to fix this. This has been a problem forever. And Microsoft is either completely ignored or they're mentioned just to dismiss them. If you think about a company like Apple, which everyone thinks about because these guys can't stop reporting on Apple, Apple and Microsoft were incorporated within 1 year of each other 40 years ago.
How does Apple do it and Microsoft not? What is the secret?
Well, I think I was going to weigh in with one thing. One thing is a lot of the reporters in these places are based in the West Coast, as is Apple, as is Google, right? And they don't use Microsoft stuff. Like we see this at every conference we go to. We're like the only people using Windows machines, And it's like, even if it's a Microsoft show, it's like you see a few more laptops and Surfaces now, but it's like they're all in on Apple, like Apple phones, Apple computers. And of course they don't know about Microsoft because they don't use any of their stuff and they are just reporting on companies in their backyard.
By the way, you're probably right. But I would also point, I would say you are right, but that doesn't really excuse it because I don't use an Apple laptop every day, but I know what's going on with that stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't understand not knowing. If you're going to write about quantum computing and you're going to cherry pick the couple of companies you're going to mention in the headline in the opening paragraph, and then you're going to dismiss Microsoft later on.
Yeah. I mean,
that's a disservice.
And quantum, I think IBM and Google are further ahead. I think Microsoft has some really good ideas and talked about having a quantum programming language and an SDK. But again, those are things I thought they might have announced today at Connect 2, and they're not here yet.
Sure.
So I'm not excusing them, but I think it is the reporter's job to know what's going on with the competition for sure. And I think you should put it in context, like say, IBM has X, Google has Y, but Microsoft said this, that they're going to do this by that. That's the way to do it, right?
You can't dismiss a company with Microsoft's resources in this kind of field. I see a lot of dismissal of Microsoft in cloud computing. There's a lot of, Microsoft doesn't help its case because they never really give us any hard numbers in Azure and so forth.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of Microsoft announced, cloud. But let's just remind everybody that Azure is like 50,000 times as big as, or AWS is 50,000 times as big as anything Microsoft could even dream of. I mean, there's a lot of that kind of thing.
No, the one that's
they
more
really
annoying.
Need to work on that perception.
What's more annoying though is when people talk about the cloud and they talk about Amazon and Google, and then they don't talk about Microsoft. I'm like, wait.
Or they'll talk about Amazon, Google, Facebook,
and IBM,
whatever, and it's like Facebook.
I'm like, wait a minute for a sec. Like the number 2 player by pretty much every estimation in the cloud is Microsoft. And to see them skip them and say Amazon, Google, IBM, Oracle, or whatever, it's like, wait, you just missed the number 2 player.
This kind of stuff. Music services is terrible, but it was like, here's your strategy for like personal technology. You buy Apple devices, use Google services, and use Amazon entertainment services. And it's like, okay. Do any of you get work done? Because maybe you could what about productivity software? Yeah. How do you not even mention that? Is it because that's where Microsoft actually has the best solutions? Is that why you ignored that particular important part of the market? I think it is. Yeah. I really do. And I would be, if I were Microsoft, and I am giving this, I'd be very aggressive about pushing back against this kind of ignorance and perception. It's a problem.
I think they try. I do think they try. Like I know they court all these big publications. They bring them to campus. They give them access that we don't even get to people on these teams. And then you're and they're not writing about it.
Yeah. Okay.
Is it Microsoft's fault or is it the journalist's fault?
Well, it's a combination. I mean, I think it's a non-virtuous cycle of some kind. There's a communications issue at Microsoft that I have obviously have a big problem with. We've documented cases this year where an individual Microsoft executive will go onto Twitter, respond to an individual tweet, and basically provide Microsoft strategy in that tweet that has never been revealed anywhere else before or since. They do that in product forums as well. I wrote about that fairly recently. It's like, guys, you gotta rein this in. Yeah. It's they're just not helping themselves.
Well, the other super frustrating thing to me, even more than the problem you're describing, Paul, is them not fighting back, right?
Yes.
Like take last week, for example, Mark Benioff went on this tear about Microsoft and Dynamics and said they only have 1% of the market. They're actually really catching up with you guys now, and they're way more credible than they were.
I know that Satya Nadella can't say that guy is a goon.
I know, and it's also sour grapes. Microsoft didn't buy Salesforce ever since that did not happen.
And Microsoft did buy LinkedIn, which was the most horrible thing that's ever happened in the history of the world until this week, where we find out that Microsoft's not really a competitor to us.
Yeah. But it's to me, I'm like, come on, fight back. Like say, even if it's just like a little sarcastic tweet from somebody on the Dynamics team, but they always.
By the way, I have the exact response
always
to
said
Mark
that.
Benioff, which is he said something about executive turnover at Microsoft and how this obviously has impacted the product or something like that. Yeah. My response to that would be like, speaking of executive turnover, we have some advice for another company that might want to consider something like that. Also, Microsoft does sometimes fight back, but they always pick the wrong thing to fight back against. Like when Consumer Reports came out and said that Surface devices weren't reliable, they fought that. And it's like, it's Consumer Reports.
And it's true.
And
it's true. Or was true.
I feel like they want to take the high road, right? Like they always say, like, what are we going to gain from like going out and like dissing Benioff? It'll make us look desperate, blah, blah, blah. Okay, but there's a way to do it, I think, that like a little backhanded tweet. What's wrong with that? I don't know. Maybe
Nadella this past week told an iPad user to get a real computer.
Yeah, I saw that. That was surprising.
That's a Steve Ballmer level quip that it kind of goes contrary to everything that he stands for and everything he has pushed Microsoft towards. We just did a giant segment on open source, whatever integration in Azure, and it's like you've just told someone to get a real computer. That's crazy.
Yeah,
I know. When I saw that quote, I'm like, I wonder if he really said that, because it's so.
I know, it didn't seem right. I know, right? I know. I thought the same thing. There's no way he said that. There's no way.
Well, now somebody in the chat room is pointing out that Frank Shaw might be a little bit of the problem. His response to TechCrunch on this was pretty. This is Hell's Kitchen, New York City. Frank Shaw is the head of PR. Start with that. Go from there. Watch how he treats journalists, even publicly, for literally quoting Nadella, as in this week with TechCrunch.
Okay, but I don't. What does that mean?
Well, he's saying if you have a PR guy, the head of marketing, that is snotty to journalists, and you can't expect them to.
Well, okay, but I
kind of like the Frank. I like the Frank pokes at people. I think at least there's somebody doing it, And he pokes at us too.
That's doing what you said to do. Yeah.
He pokes at us too, like a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. And it depends on the context of that poking, right? It's not like Frank Shaw has edited an op-ed piece in the New York Times. Was this like a Twitter thing or something? I mean,
probably.
I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, but I think I don't know. there's a lot of good things about the new Microsoft. The thing I miss a lot, I have to say, is the combativeness. I
the
love
aggressiveness. Exactly. Yeah. Yep.
I don't know. Maybe you can't have both. Maybe you can't have a growth mindset and also be combative. I don't know. That was the one thing maybe they feel like they're, competing enough and doing enough things and they're charged up enough inside that they don't need to make it something they're doing externally. But sometimes you're sitting on the sideline going, come on, hit back, right?
All the time.
Oh, God. I mean, for years, Paul was moaning the Apple Switch ads and saying, why doesn't Microsoft respond?
You know how long it took them to respond to that? 15 months.
Yeah, but then
what they responded with was that thing. Remember, it was I think it was called Project Mojave.
Yeah. Then when they do it,
they set up the tents. It was too late. But the thing that was interesting
subtle
about that is they got people to walk in, look at a computer, and be like, "Oh my God, this is way better than Windows Vista." And they were like, "Really? Because this is Windows Vista."
Right.
Because
but I don't think that's a campaign that changes anybody's mind. To be
honest.
No,
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, I'm agreeing with you. They took too long. Those Apple ads were, in many cases, just like lies. I mean, they made some points. I mean, for sure. I mean, obviously, Apple has certain advantages over Microsoft or Mac over Windows, whatever. But yeah, that campaign was crazy. And I don't like that kind of thing.
Here's the tweet from Frank to Alex Wilhelm at Crunchbase. Please.
Well, but okay. So first of all,
please
understand that Frank and Alex know each other very well, right? So this is something he's comfortable writing to a guy he knows.
Yeah, but this is in public. I mean, maybe people need to understand that Twitter is actually public. Frank should know that. So then there's a big long back and forth, which I think is actually good. I think that's healthy.
Yep.
Yeah, and then they have a conversation.
And at the end, by the way, Alex says fair.
Yep.
Just completely
Twitter doesn't lend itself to nuanced conversations, right?
I know.
No.
Even with 280 characters. Just parenthetically, and then you can go back to this. Is Salesforce a cult?
Right, a pyramid scheme of some kind.
Because I'm watching all the posts and the tweets from Dreamforce, their big conference, and they're treating Mark Benioff like dear leader.
Oh, can I not see him because he's a goon?
I don't. So
is
it
even
just
understand.
me? I mean, I've never been to Dreamforce. I don't know. I know people love it and they love him and they.
Wow.
Yeah, this conference is well. I mean, judging by the FOMO.
They must pay for everyone to go.
Well, they have some, they have big name acts and stuff.
Sure.
So
I think every company has people who are true enthusiasts, right? Like there are Microsoft enthusiasts, right? Who no matter what they do, it's like they're doing the right thing. It doesn't matter. Yep, they killed Groove, but that's okay. They killed the mobile platform. That's okay, Well,
I don't know. I'm not sure they're saying it's okay, but they're
like,
going.
We understand, right? Like it's great, and you'll do something else that's even better. I think every company has that. Like I think Salesforce has it, but I think there are also a lot of people in Silicon Valley who do not like him and think he's kind of outlived his.
Salespeople love him. That I think in a way that's and that's where Ballmer was really good. There is a type of person. Sure. It's almost a motivational speaker that salespeople.
Even Steve Ballmer, that's another great example of this problem. He did a terrible job. He got into this big thing when the iPhone came out, where he said, no one's going to buy this thing. It's too expensive. Blah blah blah. Whatever. He was right. Apple dropped the price of that thing by $200 right after he made those comments, and then it started to take off. He still held over the fire for this, and as recently as this past summer. He's gone on TV and apologized for it. It's like, dude, you were right.
Yeah.
I just,
okay, Paul, you're the only one who thinks that?
No.
The rest of the world?
Because this is the point of this entire conversation. It's perception.
Yeah.
It's like history is written by the winners. Like we think Steve Ballmer was some kind of a buffoon. If you go back and look at what he actually said about it, he was right. It withstands the test of scrutiny.
Apple's selling a $1,000 phone right now that is the best selling.
Yes, the world has absolutely changed.
Yeah,
but nobody's walking in an Apple store and plunking down $1,000 in cash. This is a different.
Well, and they
different
weren't
world.
then. I mean, subsidies.
No, of course not.
But I think what people take away is not that fine point that the iPhone was too expensive, but the larger point that it's not going to make it. I mean, he's looking at the yawning maw of the end the end of Microsoft's phone ambitions.
Sure.
And saying, it'll never make it.
The iPhone changed everything, but it had to be done correctly, and a couple things had to happen. The price had to be lower. The App Store had to happen. It had to go to other carriers. It had to go international. As it was first delivered, it was just a locked box. What it did really well for the most part. Didn't do a lot of stuff. It's a little more nuanced. Yeah, I get it. They won, but they had to make a lot of changes to make that happen. And some of the things they changed were those things he complained about. Microsoft is no less culpable or to be blamed for not catching the wave. Like I've said this many times, companies that only did phones, Motorola, RIM, BlackBerry, all failed in the face of the iPhone. So, it wasn't just Microsoft.
Right.
Yeah, but that doesn't make him look any more prescient. All right.
All I'm saying is he was right about the iPhone. That's it. Was the Windows.
You mean he was
phone
right about the
strategy
price?
Right? No,
he was
obviously.
right about the price. I don't know if you. I think Paul,
No,
you're
not
the
just the
only
price.
person who thinks that.
Okay, well, go back and read my article. It doesn't
No, I
matter what people
understand.
think. What matters is what is the truth.
Well, no, but this is it. You're right. This is it in a nutshell.
Yeah, that's the point. This is about perception.
But what does Microsoft do?
That's the conversation. I don't know. I think what we've thrown out here is, picking the right battles and actually fighting them, being more aggressive. You can't have it both ways. The problem with the Satya Nadella get a real computer quote is that that's okay for Steve Ballmer and that era of Microsoft. It's not okay for Satya Nadella. That does not fit into his whole thing. He just put a book out about how we're getting along with everybody. We're partners with everybody. And if you want to use that device, God love you, we're going to put our stuff on that device. And then he walks up and looks at it and goes, you need to get a real computer. Seriously?
Well, that was probably not the right thing to say, but he was joking.
Huge mixed message.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was odd.
And it was frankly a rare misstep by him.
Who knows?
Don't you think?
Might have been a joke. It might have been funnier in real life than it read.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe it was a joke. I don't know.
But Nadella is an interesting part of the problem because he's not a typical front man. He comes off as he's actually kind of the new class of. He's no Mark Benioff. He's much more like Sundar Pichai at Google.
That's exactly
the new class of technocrat CEOs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're going to look at the data, and we're going to do the right thing based on what the data tells us.
But that never inspires.
No,
it's probably the best for leadership.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he's sort of innately or inherently inspiring because he's Indian and because he's running an American company, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, there's something to that. I mean, there's this stuff about him that he rose through the ranks at Microsoft. And
his story's inspiring, just as Andy Grove's story was inspiring. Yep. Him crawling through the barbed wire to get out of Hungary, escape the Soviet.
Yeah, you could try to beat that story.
Yeah, But that was inspiring. But I don't think that makes him an inspiring leader per se.
No.
How is he inside Microsoft? I would imagine he's revered. I don't know. What do people at Microsoft think about Nadella?
I think a lot of people really like him. Not everyone.
I would, because he's taking the company in the right direction.
Well, I think people find it refreshing, like that things that they were complaining about in terms of letting their ideas bubble up, the culture stuff. He addressed them, So I think I get very few complaints about him from people about Steve Ballmer. I used to get constant, never-ending streams of complaints.
The way I would say that, though, and this is going to come off a little harsher than I mean it to, is I used to get a lot of complaints about him because he is a guy who kind of came in a very hard-edged way, just got rid of things that weren't working. A lot of pet projects, that people felt very strongly about. Those people don't like him at all.
No, sure.
Those people are gone, by the way.
Yep,
and
exactly.
So I don't hear any complaints either. They're gone.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
That's kind of how that works. You clear house. guys are left, they're going to look up to you.
I feel like I don't know it's being said this bluntly in Microsoft, but I feel like it's almost like it's, guys, get the growth mindset or get out. I feel like that's kind of the way it is.
But that's
now.
a good
either
decisive
on board with that
leader.
or they aren't.
Steve Jobs did the same thing when he came back to Apple. He killed a bunch of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure the people
and there were some hard feelings there.
Absolutely. But that was the right thing to do.
Success cures all problems.
Yes.
And I think the feeling with Nadella is that he is an engineer, which I think a lot of Microsoft guys naturally would like very much. Mm-hmm. Like I said earlier, he's kind of data driven. I think those guys, and I'm saying guys, I apologize, but the people at Microsoft like that very much, Mm-hmm. And we'll see. I mean, he's, we talk about this a lot because the stuff I kind of care about personally, which is client side, personal computing stuff, is not necessarily a huge focus at Microsoft going forward. I mean, there are bits of it here and there, Xbox and gaming, obviously on the Windows side, there's some stuff going on. But you kind of get this feeling like it's kind of getting chopped down a little bit. And it's only going to continue as the cloud stuff grows and gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So
I am of the opinion that Microsoft needs a Bon Scott.
A Bon Scott?
Okay.
What is the Bon Scott?
The lead singer of AC/DC,
Yes.
Bon Scott?
Exactly. So AC/DC is a great band because of Angus
Wait, you literally
Young.
meant Bon Scott.
I literally meant Bon Scott.
Okay.
So AC/DC started by Malcolm and Angus Young, who have, they don't even speak. They just play great music. But they need a front man. They need a guy who's out front with a microphone speaking. And I feel like that's what Microsoft needs, is a lead singer, a front man. Maybe lead singer is not the right name because it wouldn't be the leader. Obviously, Satya is a leader. But don't they need somebody with some pizzazz? Maybe Panos Panay, maybe, I don't know.
They've skirted around this a little bit. Remember, there have been people every once in a while who are excellent speakers, great personalities. The guy with the hat. I'm going back even further. Like, remember Hillel Cooperman back in the Longhorn days, where you kind of just fell into the spell of what this guy was saying and doing. Like, it was really interesting. They don't. I think there was a feeling for many years that what Microsoft needed was a Steve Jobs, but of course, these guys don't grow on trees.
Well, but you could make a strong case that Bill Gates was a Steve Jobs, and I think Satya Nadella is. The problem is that Gates, because of the timing alone, I think, was
it's
a pioneer,
not possible,
right? And Jobs was a pioneer, and nobody's a pioneer because it's a mature industry now.
It only happens once.
I feel like some of the next tier people at Microsoft are pretty prolific and big names in their respective places. Like Scott Goo, everybody loves that guy, right? Like he's the guy.
Make him more.
But he's another engineer type, right? I would say he falls into the same category as Satya Nadella, right? Data-driven.
I don't think so.
Scientist. No?
I mean, I don't think so in terms of public speaking style. I think he. I mean, he talks about really nerdy things, but I feel like
that's okay. I don't think that's a problem at all. I think that's good.
I don't either.
I think
I think he's good at like, because
but you need passion.
Him as
Satya Nadella seems to lack passion.
I honestly, Steve Ballmer, for whatever it's worth, actually met these requirements.
Yes,
this was a guy who did have passion and could speak about the products intelligently, right? Right. That's actually a really difficult combination. What you're asking for is hard to find. People who know the product and love it are maybe easy to find, but who can get out and really speak about it and go to town on a topic like that, it's. I
mean, Joe Belfiore is a good example of somebody who has the passion, and people really liked watching him present. Right, like he could explain stuff, whether or not you thought he was successful in the things he was championing. But I feel like he, at least when he presented, people were like,
"Okay." We can't point to this big number of things that Joe Belfiore championed that were awesome and were successful. I mean, I think that's unfortunately, and then that's just the reality. I love Joe. I mean, and he's great.
Panos is speaking
too
style.
Enthusiastic.
It's not his style isn't for everyone, but the people who like it really like him.
I
and
like him. I respect him.
I thought Steve Elop fell into this. He's long gone. I know that. But when he was at Nokia, he knew every single detail of every single product that he could speak passionately
That's
about.
what you want. I think that's great.
No, I mean, I love that.
I didn't think he was very good.
No, I know. I would say, like Panos, for example, I think he's divisive. I think some people love him and some people don't. But he is the Stephen Elop type. He knows every single detail of every single thing they've ever done, and can speak off the top of his head about any of it. And
he wore shoes that matched every phone color that they were launching.
I didn't know that. Really?
Yes. Yes.
Wow. That guy has a secret life. I had no idea.
Right? Yeah, but I agree that in terms of being like a charismatic leader who's really like you can't wait to hear him speak, like you're like so anxious. Satya Nadella is not that guy to me.
No.
I think he's really smart. I think he has his head on straight, but he doesn't make you just feel like he can't wait to talk about a new technology or product.
I feel, who the best one is today is not at Microsoft, is that guy from Apple, Craig Federini, I think is great.
Federici, yeah.
Like this. Federici, sorry.
Yeah,
he's excellent.
He has big hair.
Yeah, he's got good hair. But he's a great speaker, passionate, knows his stuff.
He is.
Hugo Barra used to be like that back in the day.
Hugo Barra was
Google
great.
Forever ago.
Now then went to Xiaomi. Yeah.
Long gone.
But these guys never rise to the level of lead singer. They're always under the shadow of the CEO.
They're the bass player.
Yeah,
they're the bass player.
it begs the question: what do you want your CEO to have as his skill set, right? His or her skill set, because Nadella's skill set is to try to. He says himself, my job is to change the culture of Microsoft. Like he doesn't talk about my job is to make Windows great or my job is to make the cloud great. He never says that. Right?
Actually,
but that's smart, right? In other words, the notion there is he's got people he trusts.
Right.
Doing that stuff, and he doesn't have to think or worry about it.
Yeah.
And
he's focused.
I do feel like they have a great team of, upper level executives, whatever, for the most part. I think most of those people are great. But, being great as a leader of a business unit or whatever, and being a great speaker or a public face of a company, those are two different, the different skills. It's hard. It's hard getting all that stuff together.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know who to point to.
I know.
Do you need that, though? There's definitely a trend in CEOs to get the management guy, the organization guy, the talent.
Well, like Eric Schmidt, for example, right?
Yeah.
Schmidt. He was not a great speaker, in my opinion. No. He was not particularly dynamic.
Larry Page can't speak.
He's
mute.
Sundar Pichai has been the right guy for Google, that's for sure.
No, what about the T-Mobile guy?
John Ledger. Now that's an interesting. Yeah. There's an interest. Yeah. There's the old school.
Actually, what you need is Mark Cuban.
Showboat.
Mark Cuban's amazing.
Really?
I saw Mark Cuban speak at a CES or a CD or something like that. It was many, many years ago. Had no understanding of who he was or whatever. I went to see him because he used to have, when I first got HD cable, there was a channel called HDNet.
Yeah.
Remember he owned?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wanted to see the guy because I love this channel. I just wanted to see him because of that. And he spoke, and I said, oh, my God, this guy's fantastic. Like, he was really smart and eloquent and did a Q&A, knew the answers to every single question, had responses to everything. I just thought he was amazing. Actually, Scott McNeely was a lot like that as well.
McNeely was also
that
way. Yeah. But then another polarizing guy, right?
I know.
Totally.
You think back as a journalist about who would you love to have a chance to interview? And there are always these polarizing guys, right? It's Ballmer and McNeely.
We had a great triangulation with Scott McNeely last year. And he was every bit as outspoken and great and fun as ever.
Yeah.
He was right there on the top because he knew everything. He was
pretty crazy. No, stuff he would say in keynotes, you would just be like, what?
Yeah. Microsoft Word is a great big hairball.
Yeah. Well, he said worse than that, right? About Microsoft.
Yeah, he did. Well, he was the one championing the whole antitrust thing. He was very excited to have a seat at that table,
Yeah.
So it's a good conversation. I don't know if we've come to an answer, unfortunately.
No, there's no answer. That's the problem.
No.
This is, by the way, this is an ongoing. John C. Dvorak and I used to have this discussion 15 years ago when Microsoft stock was stagnant. And it was kind of the same. It wasn't the perception problem. It was the stagnant problem. It's like, why is Microsoft stock so flat? Nadella, to his credit, has fixed that.
But to his credit is an interesting way to put it, because what did he do? Is it clear that he did something that, explicitly knowing that this was going to work? It's fascinating to me.
I do.
The way that
I do.
works.
I think he, with the senior leadership team, got Wall Street to take their eye off Windows and get their eye on the cloud.
Yep.
And And I think that's what he did that made the stock price go up, because Wall Street wants to hear what are you going to do in the future? And with Ballmer and Gates, they were always talking about Windows. And Wall Street's like, yeah, Windows, whatever, right? What about Google? What about Office in the cloud? What about that? And so he, whatever else is going on with the older parts of the business, which he also is still trying to wring some more money out of, he's getting Wall Street to look at the other stuff. So I think he does get credit for that.
And that's an audience. Okay. I mean, there's really, we're talking about two audiences. Wall Street is an audience, and stock is perception. The price of the stock is totally about perception.
I think the problem is Microsoft makes plumbing.
They do.
Plumbing is
it's
not
never
exciting.
Sexy. Look at IBM.
I know.
Who's going to get excited about IBM?
I know. I know.
So maybe they should just live with this.
Another charismatic person at Microsoft who you can feel the passion, Miguel Diaz-Casa.
Yeah.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
He could be the.
But he speaks to a very.
It's narrow.
Very
particular audience,
techie audience.
Yeah.
Yes.
Julie Larson Green might have been. That's too bad she left. But I would. It'd be great to see a strong woman, a Marissa Mayer type.
Yeah.
The problem is, I think if you're not speaking as the CEO, it doesn't make as much difference. Because
it was a brief moment. Remember, Windows was run by Julie Larson Green and what was her name?
Tammy Reller.
I thought it was just interesting, like two women kind of co-chairing this, and that we should all want that and everything. And I think they were both, they were both fine. I mean, there was no, no sense of excitement or future or whatever.
Magic.
Yeah.
Magic is hard. Yeah. Magic is hard. It's hard to make it happen. You can't force it.
For sure.
And, no, you can't. Hey, and you can tell when people are forcing it.
I need to ask you, because we talk all the time about Windows Phone being dead, but I keep getting reminded about the HP Elite X3. It's still selling, right?
No, it's dead.
Oh, it's dead too. That was the dockable, used continuity, the dockable Windows Phone that HP really pushed. Nobody bought that. I thought it sold well. So there was some corporate.
There's no evidence that it sold well, but I mean, they basically used Microsoft's end of lifing of Windows Mobile as their excuse to back off from that.
Okay. Well, thank God there's a Galaxy S8 for Microsoft to sell.
Yeah. So I didn't know that this was true, but apparently they've been selling that in their retail stores all year.
Yeah.
Right.
The Microsoft
I know they were
edition,
selling it. I mean, I saw it in the store months and months ago, but I guess it's always been there. But now they're selling it online as well. So the sad thing is, if you, let's see, scroll down a little bit and see if there's, no, not that. Find the link where I must have a link. I don't even have a link. I'm a jerk. All right. So if you were to go to the Microsoft store and look at the listing for this phone, it literally starts off with what is basically an ad for the Microsoft launcher, which is their replacement for the Android home screen, which is great software, smart, except for one thing. It doesn't come on the phone. Basically, they're advertising the fact that you can buy this $850 phone and then download an app from the store. It's like, well, I mean, anyone could do that.
Right.
It's kind of sad. Yes, the very first thing, Microsoft Launcher. And it's like, oh, guys.
Well, so if you buy it doesn't come with a Microsoft. I thought that was so. I misunderstood then the articles I read, which said it's the Microsoft edition. I thought, it'll be just completely customized.
It's not.
It's not. How funny.
Not.
How funny.
Yeah, it's yeah. So this has always been confusing. I think it's smart for them to sell these phones. One of the things they can do in the retail store is over the Wi-Fi download an image that has Microsoft software on it, and they can, put it on the phone. Okay, it's cool.
So Samsung won't let them make a Microsoft.
That's the basic deal, and
but they did, right? There was a Microsoft edition.
No, you had to download it at the store.
Yeah.
That's the point. Like, in other words, Samsung, you couldn't get a box that was sealed.
I see. I see what you're saying.
Microsoft stuff on it.
Yeah.
You had to download it from the store.
I misunderstood too, because I thought that's what they did.
No, everyone did. They purposefully were very vague about how this was going to work. I went to a store and talked to someone there about it when this happened, and eventually they came out with a quote and explained the deal and how it's a download and whatever. But this is like when people talk about like a Windows 10 Signature Edition or the Microsoft edition of the Samsung Galaxy. There's no such thing. It's just we're just mixing words up.
Yeah.
I just wish, that this could be something a little more seamless. People probably don't realize this, but back in the day with the signature PCs, this is not the case today, by the way, but back when it first started, when you ordered a PC from them or when you bought a PC from them, they bought it from the PC maker, open the box, reinstall the software on it, close the box, and then sent it to you. They don't need to do that anymore. This stuff is automated through the chain. They can do it back at the manufacturing facility, the factory, wherever it's made. I wish they could do that with the phone. I think there is an audience of some kind of people who would enjoy that, even if it was just an option at boot time. Do you want to install these Microsoft apps? Google does that in Android 8 or 8.1, one of the versions where you get a screen that says, hey, we have these other apps, Allo, Daydream VR, whatever the list is. They could do something like that. I think that would be, that'd be great. It would answer everyone's problem.
I was just in the Microsoft flagship store on Fifth Avenue recently, and I remember I hadn't been there in like a year. Before, when you'd go in, there'd be all these Windows phones in there along one whole wall, right? And now it's Android phones are in there.
So they have different phones.
They have non Windows phones in the store. Not a ton
even
of them.
Online. Even online, if you go to
but
phones,
they're just like in a little.
There's like an Alcatel phone is the first phone they list is Alcatel.
They're in a little section, but yeah, it's kind of interesting.
They got to do something, I guess.
Yeah.
Well. All right, let's take a break, and we will come back and talk about Windows. Because there's big Windows 8.1 news. Very excited.
Well.
Our show today, I'm not kidding you. I mean, I'm just looking at the notes. Our show today brought to you by Betterment, a better way to invest, the largest independent online financial advisor. And that's what's really different about Betterment. Betterment is designed to help improve your long-term returns, to lower your taxes for the kinds of long-term savings you might do for building wealth, for retirement, for saving money for college, all of that kind of thing. Betterment takes advanced investment strategies, uses technology to help them deliver the best information and the best results to more than 270,000 customers. So here's what you do. You go to Betterment. By the way, get the app. Is fantastic. You go to betterment.com, you sign up. Based on the information you share, things like your, what you're saving for, your time frame, your how much risk you can tolerate. They'll make tailored recommendations on how much to invest, how much risk to take, the type of investment account you should have. They have, by the way, and I set my daughter up with this. I love this because she's very, socially aware. They have a socially responsible investing portfolio, SRI, that gives you the flexibility to reduce your investment in companies that don't meet your, social, environmental, or governance benchmarks. And so it's a really nice balance. But that's not the only thing. They have all kinds of ways you can invest. And the thing is, if you want investment advice, there are two ways you can get it. Very affordable, low transparent advisory fees for 0.25% annually. You get unlimited messaging access to their team of licensed financial experts. I'm going to tell you why they're very different in a second. That's in the mobile app. So you can say, well, what do you think? Is it time to rebalance? Am I too heavy in bonds? What about this stock? That kind of thing. And that's very affordable. And then if you want to talk to somebody, I don't care. But if you want to be on the phone with somebody, some people like that, 0.4% annually. In every case, you're talking to a certified financial planner who's a fiduciary. Now, this is a little complicated, but the easiest way to describe a fiduciary is somebody who legally is responsible to you and you alone. They don't get commissions. They don't have funds of their own. When they make a recommendation, it's because it's the best thing for you, not because it helps them at all. That's what you want, a certified financial planner, a fiduciary. Of course, the app is really nice, really easy to use. It's got two-factor authentication. Data is encrypted. It's completely secure. Now, I have to say, I think I'm legally required to say investing involves risk. And, of course, that's true. But no risk, no reward. And you can decide with Betterment how much risk you want to take, how much reward you're looking for. For a free 5-minute investment review, this is free, that will help you assess what you're doing right now and give you some pointers in the right direction. Absolutely free, no obligation. Go to betterment.com/windows. You don't have to sign up, so you can just go through the process, get some good information. I think you will want to look at Betterment for your future investments. They're really good. Betterment. Rethink what your money can do. We thank them so much for their support of Windows Weekly, making this show possible. Paul Thurrott, Mary Jo Foley. We're talking Windows. Unless I'm mistaken, it says right here, Windows 7, 8.1, and 10 news.
Okay, so the reason it says that was we had a different story that got moved down to one of the picks that had to do with 7 and 8.1.
Okay,
so
we'll save that.
Part's future. Save that.
Save that.
Oh, I see.
See what I did there?
Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, there's lots of Windows 10 news.
Is there?
Well, you have the first one on the lineup.
Mary Jo,
talk about
I have a question
Fluent,
for you.
Paul.
You have installed the new mail and calendar app,
yes.
and I know you use it.
And so I do see what Fluent is now. It means it's just shinier and brighter than it used to be, darker and duller, right?
Yeah, it's prettier.
Yeah, prettier. Okay. There we go. Fluent in a nutshell.
I knew you'd see it eventually.
I did.
It just needed
when
to be
everyone's
the
like,
right
look
app.
at the mail app. It's got all this new Fluent
It is
stuff.
really
And I'm
pretty.
like, it's bright. Okay. Lighter colored blue, I guess, right?
So there are two things going on, though. I think that, well, there's more than two, but the two that have been occurring in Redstone 4 that I think are kind of cool. Two Fluent Design System touches, right? It's that light-based reveal selection, which is really, I think it's actually really cool. And no doubt came out of the kind of HoloLens mixed reality world where, you know, you need a different way to visually represent something that can be selected, something that is being selected in the, you know, in the process of being selected, and then something that is literally the selected option, right? And so I think they're doing a neat job with that stuff. So they're putting that all over the operating system. And, you know, if you think about like the calendar view control that's in the panel that appears when you click the date and time in the taskbar, in Windows 10 today, you can move your mouse over the various dates on the calendar. And it just makes a little square. You know, you see the little square kind of move with the mouse. But when you do it with the reveal effect, you kind of get this, it's like almost like a flashlight effect where the edges of the controls around it are also more dimly lit, indicating visually that you can, if you go to the right or the left or up or down or whatever, you can select that item as well. So that picture Leo's showing is the old version. And if you scroll down, you can see, I think I should have a picture of the new version. You don't have to scroll down, I guess. Anywho, the Fluent Design System stuff debuted actually before the Fall Creators Update. In fact, I think it might have even been before the Creators Update, but they've been adding more and more of those effects over time. And I think it's starting to get a little more cohesive, because back in the day of 3 months ago, you had to really go and look for it. Because it was only in certain apps, but it's finally starting to really make an impact all around the user interface. Nice.
Mm-hmm. I was glad I finally saw what all the hoopla was about, the Fluent hoopla.
The other thing, and here's some speculation for you UX weenies out there. They're using something that they're calling material, where the surface of certain UI elements looks like a material of some kind. I don't think it looks like any material, but whatever. The first of those materials is called acrylic. It's the only one that's available today. Acrylic is basically a translucent surface. It also supports levels of translucency. So if you have multiple windows on top of each other, it's conceivable you could see through all of them. But it gives you kind of a 3D effect or a hierarchy of views or whatever. I think what they're going to do is eventually have multiple materials, and that material will become part of the theme, right? That today you can choose like a light theme or a dark theme for the OS. What if you could choose a material as part of the theme, along with all the color schemes and everything else? And you might have someone who prefers like opaque kind of windows that don't have translucency, or someone who likes different levels of translucency with different types of shimmering effects or whatever. That probably is going to be the end game, because a lot of people might look at these effects and be like, well, I don't really care for that, and today you can just turn them off. But I think eventually what we're going to see is different materials, and then that will be part of the thing that you configure, for your version of the operating system or whatever.
Okay.
You're going to love it, Mary Jo. It's beautiful.
It's such a minor thing, but I guess
it is.
If you see it, now that I know to look for it.
Yeah. Some people care so much. Like I see all the time people going, wow, that's ugly. Or I can't believe how ugly this app is. Me, I'm like, does it work?
Yeah, I don't notice it. But there are people. I mean, there are people. They're obsessive people.
I know.
And
I've never met such a person. What are they like?
No, really?
So you go into Reddit and you go into the Linux forums. There's endless debates, because Linux has really a lot of different ways it can look, and some of them are horrible. But there's just like this endless debate, as if that's important. Oh, well, if you use the ARC theme, you're going to find there's a 0.3x millimeter.
It's like, do you ever actually work on this thing, or do you just play
right. Well, they
theme all
don't.
day long?
I think that's actually the secret. Is that people like Mary Jo, who are just using it as a tool.
Yeah.
Just let me type. I don't care. It's the people with nothing to do but like to futz around with computers, because that's what they do. That's that's what they do with computers. I'm one of those people, by the way.
I know.
I'm a futzer.
People who are into customizing. That's like, if you want to do that, and that's why you like certain operating systems, right? Because you can customize
That's
them.
why we prefer
obviously
Android
there are
to
exceptions
iOS.
to everything, but
Yeah.
long time ago, back in the day, as I keep saying today for some reason, dual booting was a big thing, right? You could two different versions of Windows. You could dual boot like Linux with Windows, whatever it was. And I used to tell people look, you can either dual boot or you can get work done. Which do you want to do?
Most of the time I spend on computing is installing and reinstalling operating systems, not doing any work.
Oh, me too. It's the same activity over and over
I have
again.
no legitimate work to do. I don't write. This is my work. It had, so.
Sure.
Even that new Microsoft launcher for Android. So I did finally put that on my phone, and there are all these customizations, and I'm like, whoa, I don't have time to do any of this.
It's a bit much.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. It can be.
I know.
Yeah,
it's like, do you want to change the
overwhelming.
border color? How many icons do you want to have? I'm like, I just want the apps in a row on my phone.
There's a problem.
That's why people like
right
you
now.
really should be getting iOS phone, frankly.
Don't say it. No.
Well, you can do all the same Microsoft stuff. In some cases, better. Mary Jo.
No.
iPhone 10 is awesome.
No, I can never
Look, it
go
even comes
Apple.
with a picture of the Eiffel Tower.
It comes with a picture of the Apple, and there's nothing you can do. You can't customize it because Apple knows better. So don't even think.
I literally wrote an editorial about this today. They do know better.
did.
Don't even think about changing it.
Yeah.
Well, you can think about it. Just don't do it while the phone's watching it.
In fact, for years, you couldn't even put stuff in folders. It was just a grid of icons. They finally gave you folders.
Yeah.
That's it. Right there. That's the customization.
And I hope you want
I
those
know.
folders and icons to fill in from the top left, because that's the only way it's going to work.
There's no
But you know what? I'm one of these people who I might not do the customization, but I like the idea that
you
if
could,
I wanted
if you
to,
ever
I
wanted
could.
to.
It's like when you go in a restaurant and the menu is like a million things. You're like, you know what? I'm only always going to order the one thing, but I like the idea that I could.
There's a choice if I want it.
Right.
If I want it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
this is in a nutshell the difference between iOS and Android. I mean, look at all the widgets and the and nobody I know
A glorious mess.
Yeah, nobody I know who runs Android runs it as you could if you wanted to, as a pure grid of icons. You could, but nobody does that.
What is that thing you just did?
I do.
Where it's slid in from the left.
This is the action launcher, Paul.
Okay.
It goes from that's all the apps, and then if you're going from the right, you can have special widgets like that's my calendar, my Audible, and the people I call a lot. This is the kind of thing, and this is a third-party launcher like the Microsoft launcher. Right. It's called Action Launcher that I really like. But talk about, I mean, this is. Some people would say that is hideous. What are you doing? What's wrong with you? Why are you putting all those ugly things? It's like Times Square with all the billboards.
Yep.
Yeah. No, but
it works for me.
Yep.
That's the point. It's so much about choice.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm a futzer. Wouldn't you like to be a futzer too?
I don't think you can be in this industry and avoid it.
Be a Futzer. Windows 10 1511 users get a 6-month support extension. I don't know what that means, but let's see it
Okay.
here.
I'll tell you what it
Please
means.
do, Mary Jo.
And it's kind of interesting. So Windows 10 1511 is the version of Windows 10 that Microsoft started rolling out in 2015, November 2015. The 11 is for November. The 15 is for 2015.
It's like the original.
So it was like over 18 months ago. The support was supposed to end for that earlier in October. But Microsoft announced this week that if you're an enterprise user or an education user and you still happen to be on 1511 because you haven't completed your rollout, you're having to stage it somehow or whatever, you are going to get 6 more months of security updates for this. So they're going to keep updating 1511 with security updates until March of 2018. So that's 6 months longer. Yeah, 6 months longer than they said they would support it. So, of course, the question is are they going to do this for every version going forward? What about 1607? What about 1703? What about 1709? They say this is a one-time thing only and only for enterprise and education customers because they know a number of them who have, quote, complex, large IT environments who are still transitioning to Windows 10, the new servicing model for Windows 10. So they're saying it's not going to be a thing that keeps happening, but I kind of wonder if it is. And so this whole change begs the question, is Microsoft updating Windows too fast for IT? And many in IT will tell you yes. They're saying we can't keep up with the twice yearly thing. We can't do it. And you get 18 months. You don't have to take every version of Windows and every new one of these feature packs is supported for 18 months. But some people are saying, why don't they just do one update and support it for 24 months? Like, why not do it that way instead? But so far, Microsoft is saying that's not the plan, and they're going to stick to the servicing model.
If only someone had complained that Windows as a service was not working.
Yeah.
If only.
Yeah. So there you have it. If you are one of those people still on 1511 and you happen to be education or enterprise only, no home, no pro, nothing else,
1511.
You made it. You're okay. You're going to get 6 more months of support.
But then you're screwed.
Then, guys, the hammer comes down. Yeah.
Okay. Is it conceivable that Microsoft will address issues people are having with the updates so that they will update and not have problems, or they're just going to...
That's amazing.
So, the patching system and the new servicing model, let's say it's still a bit rough. And
let's say that because it is.
Yes, it is. And so, every I feel like they're clarifying the messaging on the servicing model, but it still has a lot of things they need to work out before I could say it's actually working.
Yeah.
For example,
yes,
the very next story. Which is that
apps coming back from the dead.
Yeah, so many people in
zombie apps.
No, not well. Yeah, actually, sort of. When some people installed the Fall Creators Update, they discovered a strange little problem, which is that when they clicked on app shortcuts in their start menu, those apps no longer launched. And there was a little campaign online about trying to figure out what the problem was and how you could fix it. Some people were saying if you uninstalled the app and then reinstalled it, it might work. And then some people discovered that when they did that, it actually continued not to work, whatever. So as part of this past week's, I think it must have been Patch Tuesday, right? This past week?
Last week, yeah.
Last week. It was last week. So this week they released a cumulative update for Windows 10 version 1703 that, among other things, fixes that problem.
I'm getting one for 1709 right now.
1709. I'm sorry. That's what I meant.
Okay.
1709.
KB 404-8955 to be precise.
Let's see if that's the one. Yes, it is. KB 404-8955.
Oh, that would be correct, Mr. Thurrott.
I believe you meant 55.3, Mr. Laporte. I don't know.
So this is fixing what?
Well, it's fixing all kinds of things, but it's fixing a problem.
But this
where
was
apps
independent
of
the Patch Tuesday of the Patch Tuesday.
That's
on the
right.
8th.
Yeah, I guess it is. Yeah, based on the date.
Another one. Yeah.
Oh no, this is the.
yesterday, right? Yesterday's
Tuesday was the
update
second Tuesday. That okay.
No.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because the first was a
yesterday
Wednesday.
Oh,
was
you're
the-
right. You're right. That's
Yep.
Patch Tuesday. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yep.
The 7th, because November began on a Wednesday. That's why. So it's a particularly late Patch Tuesday.
Yep.
Yep.
Got it. So I'm going to restart because it says awaiting restart. My patch. So SteamVR is coming to mixed. Oh, this is good.
Yeah,
this is important.
Just a quick
We talked
note.
about
Today's
this.
the day.
Yeah,
So
today's the day.
Microsoft has signed off on this. I haven't seen it yet. I checked earlier today. It wasn't there, but supposedly today, maybe even by now, you'll be able to access SteamVR from within that new Windows Mixed Reality environment in Windows 10.
And by the way, I can now say that Mehdi Hassan has a rather luxurious mustache.
Yes, that's what I was saying.
So I think he's not underage. Well, you never know. He could be hirsute.
Sure.
We're going to call him the hirsute Hassan. I know, it's poor Mehdi. He doesn't know what he's getting into.
Just a trial by fire.
There's going to have to be a Mehdi cutout for Windows.
Oh, no. Don't say that. This guy's going to be very upset.
I didn't bring his name into it. That guy.
That guy's going to be very upset. All right. And there's nothing to say about the Xbox, right? The One X.
No.
Well, actually, Leo, now that you
As a
mention
matter of fact, there might be.
no,
Good
there isn't
Lord,
that
Paul,
much
you're
to
starting
say.
to look like a Halloween Paul.
I know. I'm not
It's
used
dark
to
in
the
here.
light situation here
This
yet.
is awesome. I'm going to send you, if you want, I could send you a couple of very nice diffused lights that would help you.
I could just turn on a light.
Or you
just,
could
I don't know. It got dark. I don't know. Yeah, so there was an interesting controversy this past week. Microsoft kept advertising the fact that the Xbox One X was launching with the most launch titles of any console in history.
What?
And a lot of people like, what are you talking about? And actually, it's true, but it's true like in the sense of like when Obi-Wan Kenobi said that it was true that he didn't lie to Luke about his father. It's just the way you look at it. That kind of thing. And
He's not really your father, Luke. He's a different person.
yeah, it's just everything is true if you look at it from your own perspective, I guess. So, there are some interesting numbers there. I have to bring up the article to know what those numbers are, but basically, if you look at the number of Xbox One enhanced titles that were available on day one, I think the number was 50, and then it's 75 something. It's going up pretty quick. Launch titles, as Microsoft defines them, are all kinds of different things, obviously, but the fair point that they make is that when Sony made this claim for the PlayStation 4 Pro last year, no one questioned this. I mean, it's the same claim. They had 30 last year, and then they talked about the Xbox One. The original one shipped with 22 launch titles. PlayStation 4 had 23, Xbox 360 at 18, the PlayStation 3 at 14, and so forth. So. It's probably north of 75 today. But, of course, none of those are literally exclusive to the Xbox One X. Like, there is no game that's ever been made and probably will ever, well, we can say for the future, but no game that's been made specifically only to run on the Xbox One X, right? I mean, I think that's part of the point of the platform is you design these games so that they scale across the different versions of the console. So I agree with Microsoft, to be honest. They had a nice number of games that were specifically enhanced for the console.
Yeah. I bought Call of Duty, of course, World War II, and Assassin's Creed Origins, and they both look, amazing.
Yeah, it's incredible, both of them. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't play games, by the way. I just wander through the environments and hope nobody
I don't
shoots
either,
me.
Leo.
No, you do something. I
was hoping to actually Prestige and by the time of the show, but I kind of just missed it.
Prestige 1?
Yeah, in multiplayer.
Multiplayer.
Because I finished
I'm
the
playing
single-player
campaign. I
over the
really
weekend.
like the campaign.
Yep, it was great. It's the first one I finished, and
It's kind of like a
Several
great war
years.
movie. You got your buddies. They all have different personalities. It's kind of fun.
Zussman is awesome. Classic Zussman.
Zussman. He's so Zussman.
That guy.
Who's the guy with the camera? It's a little weird because he's always got the camera. Like, don't you have
Yeah, the nerdy-looking guy.
Don't you have something else to do besides
Sure.
fondle a camera?
I think some people were just there to do that, right? I mean, that was their point. Document it.
Yeah, it's kind of it's like a war movie almost a little bit. You got your buddies and you're fighting through the. I still can't get off the beach on Normandy, but
Yeah,
I'm sure.
yeah.
I watch Michael play, and he's gotten, he's almost done with the campaign, and so I get the gist. I'm still.
No,
I
it's
can't
really,
get,
really
I can't
well
get to
done.
the. I'm doing something wrong. I get off.
You zigged when you should have zagged.
How do you know? Do you know ahead of time when the German?
You don't catch the bomb that they lob at you. You
Can you
avoid
avoid
it.
Can you see it coming?
No.
You can see the tracers from the bullets. So you wait for a slow spot and then you run. And
Yeah,
then
actually,
you duck?
so the gun emplacements, they run out of bullets, and they briefly, there's a pause when they reload, and that's when you go.
Yeah,
I'm a veteran of the Normandy campaign, Leo. It's
they do shout.
if you include virtual versions.
I
of it.
have hit that beat just like it's like Groundhog Day over and over and over again. All right, have we done enough Xbox to justify our existence? All right, let's take a break.
Oh, we have.
Oh, have we? Oh, have we ever? Well, we had to balance the Hadoop portion of the program. Actually, you didn't actually talk about Hadoop.
No, but I did talk about big data, so Hadoop by association.
I like little data better.
I like Hadoop by association. That's good. Our show today, we will get to the back of the book. Tips, picks, beer in just a second. But our show today is quite literally brought to you by Sonic to its 10 gigabit fiber internet connection. My friends, boys and girls, I sit here in an office connected to the internet with symmetric 10 gigabit. It's so fast that none of my computers can use it. They all have gigabit Ethernet connections. But I could show you. It's really cool. When you use their gigabit Ethernet connections, you get real close to a gigabit speed. Thanks to you, Sonic. I tip my hat to you. Sonic is not just fast. Sonic is the best internet service provider in America. They provide affordable internet, phone, and TV to homes and businesses all over California. I don't know what's going on with this. Oh, I have to... there we go. I have low disk space on temp. That's what's going on. 830 megabits. There's a little too much overhead on this machine. I want a new computer. Fortunately, I have Sonic. So that's the good news. The bad news is you can't get it. You can't get it. I'm sorry. Unless you live in San Francisco, the North Bay, or the East Bay. They are slowly expanding. But what is so cool, and I've talked to Dane Jasper, their CEO, is that and this is, to me, why I want to do this ad, to tell the rest of the world it's possible. Even in the United States, where we struggle with internet speeds, providers that cap your bandwidth, that look at what you're doing, that hand your data over to anybody who asks at the drop of a hat, that's not Sonic. If you go to the Electronic Frontier Foundation and look at their ratings of ISPs, green checks all the way across, no bandwidth caps. They defend you against government interference. They protect your privacy. They give you affordable pricing. And they can make money. And this is the thing. They can be a profitable ISP by charging you. Well, let me tell you what you get, and then you can guess how much it costs. Actually, you could read it if you're watching the video. It's right there on the screen. But don't tell the other people. Shh. So what you get, 15 email accounts, internet service with 15 email accounts, a gigabyte of storage on the cloud, personal web hosting. You get a new domain, you get fax line service, you get unlimited local and long distance calling on your home phone connection. And it's a real phone. It's not Skype. It's not a voice. It's a real phone that you can port your existing number to. Long distance calling is included. And you get speeds up to a gigabit, 1,000 megabits per second, $40 a month. $40 a month. And they make money. This is a lesson to all those other guys charging you twice as much for half as much. And they stand up for your privacy, and I can go on and on. If you are fortunate enough to be living in a Sonic neighborhood, you'd be nuts not to do this. Join the internet revolution. Go to sonic.com/twit. Get your first month of Sonic internet and phone service free. Plus, bundle it with Dish. You'll save $120 on your Sonic bill. Visit sonic.com/twit, and I apologize in advance to all of you who will go there, and Sonic will say, I'm sorry, we don't serve your area. But there's a lesson here that they can do this and make a living, make a good business for $40 a month. Means these other guys are raking you over the coals. It doesn't have to be this way. Sonic xbox.com/twit. Now, we continue on Mary Jo Foley, Paul Thurrott. To the back of the book we go, and it's Paul's tips of the week.
Yeah, I might have mentioned this maybe just as a news item a few weeks ago, but the ability to gift individual games to other people on Xbox Live has now gone live. So in other words, you can browse the store, find the game you want to gift, and then gift it to an email address, basically. So instead of sending someone a $50 gift certificate or whatever, you can actually gift the game.
Gift the game. I like that.
Yeah.
That'll be a lot of people doing that this holiday season.
Yeah, that's such a great idea.
Yeah.
It kind of makes me wonder why it wasn't there 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And then just as a secondary tip, I guess I'll call it, Microsoft has announced some of their Black Friday deals. Black Friday is next week, right? End of next week, suddenly. Mm-hmm. And two of the better ones are the Harman Kardon Invoke, which is the Cortana speaker, normally $199, is going to be available for half price. That is the correct price for this device. That's an excellent price. Beautiful. Look at him. Don't touch it. And also, if you don't have an Xbox One S yet, it's been the best value in video game consoles for a long time, but it's going to be an even better value on Black Friday when it will be available for its lowest ever price of $175.
Wow. What? Wow. These are good deals. Yep. This at $99, I would say I would buy the Invoke.
Yeah, I think it's a wonderful speaker. Like the quality of that thing is really nice.
And if you're a Microsoft Group subscriber, no, never mind.
He had to go there.
Yeah. It will work for the 6 days after Christmas that service is supported.
What you can listen to other music services.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
When I set it up,
Spotify.
It was a little weird. It looked like I could choose 1 out of 3. Maybe I was doing something wrong. I have to work.
It doesn't support every single service known to God.
It was
I don't think Google Play Music.
Spotify and Pandora, I think, were the 3.
I think that's right.
Yeah. But it looked like I could only choose 1. That can't be right. I must have missed the checkbox part. But anyway, and it sounds great.
I think what you were doing is just choosing the primary one. Like in other words, if you don't specify a service, it will use
This is what
Spotify
you use.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. See, I don't have a Spotify account. It's the one music service I stopped paying for because I have everybody else's.
Right.
It's kind of a drag. I should go back to Spotify.
I can add you to my Spotify family.
I'm in your family, Paul. I'm your long lost weird
I'm
uncle.
going to not allow you to listen to bad music, Leo. So
it's going to show up on your list. All right. Those are good deals. I like that.
Yeah. I think next week's going to be really interesting, and not just for Microsoft.
The One S is a nice device. If you don't have I want to just do this plug. If you don't have a 4K TV, there isn't a lot of reason for you to get an X. Get the One S.
It's subtle. If you only have 1080p, some subtle improvements, but you'd be better off spending the money on the TV than on the console.
Yeah. $175 for the One S. That's great.
I know, it's crazy.
It's a great deal.
Yep.
App of the week.
So I've got 2. I'm actually going to let Mary Jo do the first one because it's her birthday.
What? Happy birthday.
Yeah, I actually think this app is very cool. It's from our friends at Stardock, and it's called Groupie. So think about how you use tabs in a browser to organize things.
Yes.
So Groupie lets you organize windows the same way. So if say you have apps, you have a bunch of different apps, and you want to put them in a group, it gives you this tabbed interface so that they're all nicely arranged together in a group. Multiple notepad instances, for example, that you may have open, you could have them all tabbed.
That's what you would do with this.
As soon as I saw this, I'm like,
multiple notepad instances. Can I virtualize any of those instances?
Now, Raphael today showed on Twitter a picture. He had Visual Studio Code and Visual Studio tabbed together in a group. And he's like, my productivity just went up like 90,000% because I can do this now with this tool, Groupie.
That's brilliant.
So it's in beta now. You can download it. But the way it works in beta right now is it's part of Object Desktop, which is Stardock's whole collection of desktop tools. It has things like Start 10 and all that. And next month, it's going to be commercially available as a standalone service for $9.99. So if you don't want to get all of Object Desktop, you can wait just till next month and get it for $9.99. I think it's a kind of a cool and handy idea.
I really think this is great.
Yep.
Wow.
Brad Wardell strikes again.
I'm getting this. This is because
Yep.
I mean, people use tabs and browsers will immediately get the benefit of this. Nice.
It's hard not to look at this and wonder why it's not in Windows.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I
Which
use
I would say-
workspaces like crazy, so this is like a different kind of way to do workspaces.
Yeah, but this is, like Windows 10 has that virtual desktop feature that nobody ever uses, and I think would confuse the heck out of normal people. This is something people understand. We understand tabs. I think normal people could use this.
Me too. I think
good
I
idea.
could even use it. So easy, MJF could use it. That's your test.
Well, I said normal people. That's
Right. That's me.
You don't use the full object desktop, do you?
Me? No.
No. Because Groupie's free, but if you pay $30, you can get it all.
Yeah. You get the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. It
Look,
looks
we're
like
not
Groupie.
here to prop up Brad Wardell's wallet. All I'm saying is, no, it's he makes good. They make good stuff at Stardock.
I'm going to buy the whole thing because I don't think you can get Groupies separately yet.
You can't. Not until next month. Then it's $9.99.
Okay. Oh, then it's $10. I get it. I get it.
Yep.
Oh, spend the $30. Get the whole thing.
Yeah, if you want all the other tools plus Groupie, you
Worth
can
it.
just spend $30.
I'd like to support local developers.
The guy down the street at the
just wait,
developers
it's going to
farmer
be a
market.
thing.
Yeah. We have a little developers market in our town square. We go there, we buy our apps fresh.
Yeah, like when the corn's not growing, they turn to mobile app development for the other 6 months of the year.
And I like your pick too. Go ahead, Paul.
Yeah, the second pick is Firefox Quantum, or Firefox 57, I guess it is, latest version of Firefox. This thing is really interesting and is worth looking at. If you haven't looked at Firefox in a long time, especially, I would ask you to seriously give this thing a shot. A lot of people like the look and feel of Edge, for example, in Windows 10, but it kind of falls short in some way. Either extensions don't work, the performance is bad, whatever it might be. A lot of people obviously love Chrome, but some people think it takes up too much memory. The performance is terrible, whatever. This thing is kind of hitting on all of the problem areas of the other browsers. Out of the box, it looks a lot like Edge. Actually, if you enable a light theme, it looks exactly like Edge, which I really like. The performance is incredible, so it's beating Chrome in that capacity. It's compatible with some Chrome extensions. I've had kind of mixed results on that front, but it's supposed to have a kind of a rich ecosystem there. But the thing that really put it over the top for me is that it renders text as well as Microsoft Edge does. That's one of the things I really love about Edge, and it's one of the things I don't get from Google Chrome. It's just the quality of the text, at least on Windows 10. I'm not sure what it looks like on other systems, but is beautiful. And I can't say for sure. I mean, one of the issues with Chrome for me is I use those pinned web shortcuts, on the taskbar. You can't get that with with Mozilla Firefox today. But just as far as general web browsing and everything, I might actually switch to it. It's a beautiful and fast browser. And
it's supposed to be. It's a lot faster.
Yeah, it's really worth looking at if you haven't in a while. Especially, you should check it out.
I'm so tied to the Chrome extension ecosystem.
I know.
But I think most of the stuff is available on Firefox, the same extensions on Firefox. I just have to make the effort to, and that's worth it, I think.
Yeah, it's definitely worth checking out. It's beautiful to look at. It's just an attractive browser.
Quantum. Enterprise pick of the week, Mary Jo Foley, birthday woman.
So this was a weird thing that just showed up kind of out of the blue. There's a new kind of Skype called Skype Professional, which Microsoft is going to make available in preview soon, starting with U.S. customers only. And this is a version of Skype that's aimed at people who are mostly small, mid-sized business customers who conduct their entire business online. So think of people who give trumpet lessons through Skype online. They want to make it so that you can do everything in this version of Skype. So you can handle your branding, your time management, payments, have notes about your customers, all within your Skype environment. I thought when I read about this, they must be using all the Office 365 services to flesh out Skype. So, things like bookings and listings and Outlook Customer Manager, and they've somehow integrated that with Skype. And I asked them, and they said no. So I went back and asked them again, and I haven't heard back because I'm like, you must be using this. You didn't just build all these extra services from scratch. I hope Skype. I hope you didn't do that because you already have them in Office 365. But yeah, so this is coming soon. We don't have an exact date. US first. They've got a survey out on the Skype Professional website if you want to apply to be in the preview program. So I applied just for the heck of it. I said I was a professional podcaster.
Well, you are.
Awesome.
That's true.
I know. So I'm like, let's see if I can get into the beta for this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because, I mean, if anything, if you use Skype for your business, they also said people like who do yoga lessons at home and they broadcast them over Skype, or people who are in like financial consulting and they use Skype to talk to their clients. These are the kind of people they're targeting specifically with this version of Skype called Skype Professional.
Okay.
That's all we know so
I guess
far.
I don't probably need it.
No. Yeah, you're probably not the kind of person. They're looking for people who use Skype as like a conduit to their customers.
Yeah, business tool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mary Jo Foley, for the pick of the week. Now it's the enterprise. I'm sorry, oh, you're going to skip the rumor.
I'm going to skip Codename because I did the app pick. I had to do extra work for Paul this week. So
we have a very appropriate. Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Mary Jo.
Yes, blame me.
It's a birthday tradition in Lower Mackenzie Valley.
It is.
Thank you.
Let me
noticing.
do the app pick.
Let's do our beer pick of the week. How about that?
Okay. I couldn't have come up with a better beer pick since it is my birthday and I am the bomb, as everyone knows.
Yes.
So my beer pick is called Birthday Bomb.
Ooh.
And it's a very potent and delicious imperial stout from Prairie Artisan Ales in Oklahoma. 13%, not a light beer.
Ooh.
But they make a beer called Prairie Bomb, and it's got a touch of chili. It's in perfect proportion. A little spicy, a little like nice coffee notes from the imperial stout part of it. This beer, they added caramel to it. So you think, oh, caramel, chili? No, it works. It's spicy and sweet.
Oh, no. Caramel and chili are a very nice combination.
Delicious.
Yeah.
Delicious.
Ooh.
Yeah.
You're crazy.
And Paul, I think if you were still drinking beer, you would love this beer. Just a thought.
Paul,
it's a dessert beer.
All that alcohol just dissolves the fat. I wouldn't worry about it.
No carbs here at all.
Yeah.
It's science.
It's science.
Yeah.
And it's
I
Mary
like
Jo's
the description.
birthday.
I know, made in-house by our brewers with nothing but black gloves and a propane tank.
I don't know if I like that. What?
I know. I'm like,
Science experiment.
Science experiment.
Science experiment. Black gloves. The rest is a complex mix of hops and malts. I like this coffee and spices. That sounds like
it's really good.
Really
really
drink
tasty.
one in honor of your birthday.
Aw, okay.
Yeah. As soon as I can find it.
Yeah, you guys might have it. You have a good beer
Petaluma
store in
Market
Petaluma.
has everything.
I know.
It's really amazing. And of course, we have the traditional, Bevmo and I'm All Liquored Up stores, and
I believe we have Miller Lite here, and also something that has lime in it.
Yum, yum, num num num. Ladies and gentlemen, couldn't be a better day and a better way to celebrate Mary Jo Foley's passage, another year round the sun. A fabulous Windows Weekly.
Her journey together with us.
Journey
on this little blue marble we call Windows Weekly. We do this show Wednesdays when Leo shows up on time at 11 a.m.
That's why it's so dark. I just turned on the lights, by the way.
I overslept. I woke up at like was 9:30 or 10, and I went, what? But I must have needed it. So I apologize. And it takes me hours to get my face on and my hair done. So, and we have the Christmas card today, and I really wanted to look extra special for that.
Nice.
Yeah. as you can see. I sent Lisa home and said, please get me something festive. I forgot. We do this show every Wednesday, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern Time. That is now 1900 UTC. If you want to join us, watch live at twit.tv/live. You can listen on your various devices. On the Echo, you say Echo, listen to Twit live on TuneIn. I think the same thing would work with the Harman Kardon Invoke. If you've got TuneIn on that, you can listen to us. You can also listen to each episode. You can say, listen to Windows Weekly on TuneIn. It'll play the week's most recent episode, which is okay. But I'd rather you subscribe. That way you'll have, your collection. You could put it up on your mantelpiece. Burn it to CDs and put it up on the mantelpiece. All the Windows Weeklies ever recorded, 544 of them.
You might need DVDs now because it is over.
It's over 70 minutes. Yeah. Yep. Sorry, kids.
Yep.
So do download it, subscribe. You can also go to twit.tv/WW for individual episodes or to get subscription links for the various podcast applications. We try to make that as easy as possible. And don't forget, we're best-ofing again this year, the week after Christmas, all best-ofs. And
so obviously for this show, the entire show will be the first 40 minutes of the last episode where all we did was talk about Xbox.
Oh, man.
Such a good episode.
I think gongs have to be on the show as well as sriracha.
It'll be, I think it's December 27th. It'll be our best of. But we like your contribution. We've gotten quite a few so far. But if there's a moment that you remember, Mary Jo gonging Paul, that would be a good one. All you have to do is go to twit.tv/bestof, fill in what you can think of. You don't have to know everything on that form. Just whatever you can give us helps us make a better best of. And I have a few ideas myself. I think Sriracha unplugging the computer might be on that list. Thank you for being here. We'll see y'all next time on Windows Weekly. Bye-bye.